Scottsdale. I am just about to leave for my trip, but I wanted to do one more video before I went and show you some of my past travels through a bunch of old family photos that we found. It's going to be kind of short and they're really just pictures, but I thought that was really cool, and we can start here at 0 miles and work our way up to 80. So when I was about 6, we moved to Singapore for my dad's job, and we had our very first Christmas in our hotel before we ever moved into our house. I got this little Pikachu doll that I really loved and a couple of other things while we set up our baby Christmas tree and ate Chinese food. After that, we moved into my new house. I started school at the Canadian International School, CIS, which we used to like to call Cows in Shorts. I had a lot of fun in Singapore. It was very different at times, but we always made it sort of similar to home too. I once had a lemonade stand, which went horribly, but I had fun. We went on a lot of big adventures. Two that I specifically remember are Thailand and Malaysia, and while I remember a lot of these trips, sometimes I get kind of muddled at where they are, so I have to ask my family, like, hey, we were on a boat. What country was that in? This boat was really cool though, and I got to play with a monkey, I got to drive the boat, and we got some really great pictures. One of the best things we got to do on some of these trips was we got to ride elephants. I've ridden elephants 3 times. These pictures were from the very first time that I ever rode elephants. I also remember going to Malaysia a couple of times to ride horses. Of course, I got to hold some snakes. I love snakes, thus spotted snake, but I always thought they were really cool and I was never really afraid of them. We also took a trip to Cambodia once with our friends, Ron, Bev, and Josh, who is 2 years younger than me and who I get to see every couple of years, and probably this time too in London. But it was such a fun trip. We got to go see Angkor Wat, which was really cool, and overall it was just really fun. I remember a lot from that trip. One time we also went to Bali. I remember our trip to New Zealand being kind of near the end of our time that we actually lived in Singapore, but I got this stuffed turtle that I absolutely fell in love with, and one of my distinct memories is just throwing it up in the air over and over and over again while waiting to be seated at a restaurant. He was featured in many of the photos from that trip. We went fishing with this old guy named Harry who had a lot of hair, and that's about all I remember from him. But I caught a fish of my own. We also went horseback riding in New Zealand, and I had a little bit more freedom to ride. My horse got spooked, but I was fine. Finally, we explored a mountain and we went across a suspension bridge. This one is mostly in pictures. I don't really remember that part of the trip that well though. After moving back to the States, we took a trip to New England, and we stayed a lot of the time in Vermont on this little cabin by water, but we also took a trip to Boston and I met a Benjamin Franklin with my mom, and we went to this rock quarry in Vermont and jumped like 30 feet into this water. My mom just kind of looked up and there I was, and then I was jumping and then I was gone. My next big trip after that was when I went to Europe in 2012. It was the summer before my freshman year of high school, and my mom and my dad and I all went there together. We started in France, we saw some friends that lived in Saint-Germain, and then we went to Paris for a little while. After that, we took the Eurostar over to London. We did things like Baker Street and the Tower and all of this, touristy stuff. So if you don't see it on this trip, that's probably why, because I've already seen it. After that, we went to Italy, and the waiters were hilarious. They always liked to talk with us and be funny in pictures. I got to bargain for some art, and I actually did it pretty well. I still have them hanging in my room. The last part of the 2012 trip was we went to Athens, and then we stayed on a Greek island. It was the World Cup, so we would go get ice cream and watch the games and kind of just drive around, see the temple that was on the island, swim, that kind of stuff before heading home. And the last big trip I took was another Europe trip in high school in December, and we went for Christmas and New Year's. I stayed with our friends Ron, Bev, and Josh again in their home in Prague, and then we took a day trip to Germany and Austria. Afterwards, we got to watch the fireworks on New Year's Eve over Charles Bridge, and it was the first snow of the year too. So that was pretty fantastic. So I leave for my trip in about 3 days, which I'm really excited. I'm finishing up everything here, kind of scrambling to get all the tiny things done and start packing. But that means that the next time you'll see me is in London. So this should do pretty well to make those 80,000 miles go up from 0, and that's where we started. Bye.